With that, let us bring in Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, one thing that really hasn't been talked about enough is, remember when DHS was formed? It was formed to prevent people from flying planes into buildings. How does this new censorship board fit into that mission?
It's actually contrary to the mission of the United States government, which is to defend our liberties. It's anti-constitutional. You know, Jen Psaki essentially admitted that their goal is to encourage censorship, either directly or indirectly. So it doesn't matter who's running it. This Nina Jankowicz is obviously an extremist. Look, if you're an American citizen and you don't want your fellow citizens to have the right to share their views, wrong or right, whether they be wrong or right about public policy issues, you're necessarily an extremist and shouldn't be anywhere near the levers of government. And the Biden administration has decided that censorship is a governing policy for them. They called in big tech companies a few months ago to encourage them to engage in more censorship. And it's no coincidence that after Elon Musk, the purchase of Twitter by Elon Musk is announced, you have the Biden administration and you see Elizabeth Warren there talking about the need to press censorship through DHS. Now the Senate's going to be harassing Musk. These are dangerous times for our Republican form of government.
Yeah, well, Nina Jankowicz, who is going to be leading this board, doesn't like Elon Musk. She made that very clear during a recent interview. Take a listen to what she said.
I shudder to think about if free speech absolutists were taking over more platforms, what that would look like for the marginalized communities all around the world, which are already shouldering so much of this abuse, disproportionate amounts of this abuse.
So, Tom, will this board be a problem for Elon Musk and Twitter as he tries to make it a platform that is fair for everybody to speak freely on?
Well, she's going to be the executive director, and she's shuddering at the prospect of more free speech on Twitter. You know, this person is a promoter of government mandates on speech. You know, when the government said that masks weren't needed, she was happy that platforms were trying to take down ads against or for masks. When masks became mandatory and promoted, she wanted questioning of masks censored. So, you know, this is extremist. She also talked about Donald Trump, talking about him being like a tree weed that was lopped off when he was removed from the big tech platforms. This person has no business being in the government, and Judicial Watch has launched Freedom of Information Act requests already, asking the Department of Homeland Security, what is this governance board? What is this Ministry of Truth? What is this censorship board? What is it going to be doing?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I also find the timing of it all pretty curious. They lose the referee in Twitter, presumably, and now they have to create a new referee so that they can get the censorship in that they want. Another thing that's not really being talked about a lot, this board, according to DHS, the focus is going to be in Hispanic communities. I find it quite curious as well, Tom, that you hear about this just after recent polling shows Hispanics are gravitating toward the GOP in record numbers because, quite frankly, they don't like Democrat policies that have left them behind.
Yeah, this is also nakedly partisan. You've got Democrats who are concerned that Twitter isn't going to censor their opponents, and they want to be able to restrict inroads by their political opponents into demographic groups, as you highlight, Hispanics and minority groups that they think shouldn't hear from us, whether they be Republican or conservative. And in many ways, when she talks about free speech damaging minority groups, I mean, that's the critical race theory approach to speech. That speech that offends the left or offends the leftist perception of what minority groups should be aggrieved by should be censored. I can't believe I'm on national television debating the idea of the federal government censoring
it's
speech.
The most dystopian thing
by
ever.
political activists,
hey, Tom,
one way or
before we
another.
let you go, I just thought you brought up such a great question. I mean, what authority does this Disinformation Board have? If they find something that they deem disinformation, what do they do about it?
Exactly. And the Senate, the House is not going to really do much because Nancy Pelosi runs things. But the Senate is a closely divided institution. And my view is nothing should go forward for the Biden administration until this operation is shut down and we figure out who was behind this attack on the civil liberties of U.S. citizens. Because the idea that someone's going to be watching what you're doing already is going to be chilling speech. It's a dangerous time.
We will be watching. Tom Fitton, thank you very much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.